Travers 2024 stakes now officially in the books. Let's talk about it. Welcome to All Horse Racing All the Time. I'm Alan, your host. I'm going to bring you the Travers Stakes 2024 recap here in this video. There's a lot to talk about. There's some narratives that have gone around before the race and after the race that are just so far off the base. It's mind-boggling. We'll get to all of this stuff, the results, but first, coffee. Excellent, black. Some of you might be wondering what kind of coffee I'm drinking. It is Aloha Bold Hawaiian coffee. First time I'm having it, and it is just tremendous. We're going for the gusto here. It's pretty strong. Okay, Travers Stakes 2024 in the books. A thrilling race won by Fierceness and the super filly Torpedo Anna finishing second by a nose. Was it as simple as that? No, it wasn't as simple as that. We had in this race 4 contenders that stood out way above the others. We had and they were number 1, Torpedo Anna, opening at 3-1. Number 2, Sierra Leone, opening at 7-2. Number 7, Dornock, the favorite, the opening favorite at 5-2. And then the number 8, the championship 2-year-old of the year, Fierceness, opening at 3-1. And before we go any further, let's address Dornock, the opening favorite. I touched on Dornock a couple of days, 2-3 days ago, and this is what I had to say about the opening favorite, Dornock. Okay, let's go to the videotape. Dornock, the opening favorite at 5-2. What did I think about him? What did I have to say? She's coming in at 3-1. I think the saving grace in this race is that Dornock is I see him as a vulnerable favorite. I don't see him as the one to win this race. And if people pour money on him, that's going to open the doors for the others. There you go. Dornock. I didn't see it. And right from the start, getting to the start of the race, when they were in the paddock, they were showing the horses, looking at the body language of these horses. Dornock was walking around washed out, head to the ground, nose almost to the floor. And that body, I said, oh my God. I didn't think he was a contender to begin with. He didn't have the overall speed. I saw him as beating a weak field in both especially in the Haskell Stakes, and even to a degree in the Belmont Stakes. I mean, Fierceness wasn't there. Some of the others weren't there. And he looked washed out before the race. And I called it. I didn't like him to begin with. I liked him even less in the Travers Stakes, just by the body language alone, let alone the other things I didn't like about him. And he did go out towards the front, but faded and eventually finished 4th. Oh, what about the others? We had Torpedo Anna. She had a tremendous record, only 1 blemish. Even that, she just winning race after race after race, G1 after G1 after G1. But there were 3 male contenders in this race who were faster than her, who had at least put up faster numbers than her. I thought she was a tenacious entry, a fighter, had to be considered. And Sierra Leone, of course, the closer. And then we go to Fierceness with the best numbers of them all. So we're looking at the race. What do you think about it? We'll start here with the wagering options. The wagering options for this race. How are you going to play this race? Okay, so you got it broken down to 4 main contenders, the big 4 that I talked about. It's going in. We'll start with the exactas, then, of course, the win contenders. Exacta, you could be a little bit, spread it out a little bit. Who are you going to use in exactas? Who are the players in here that can get the exacta done? Well, I talked about that. And we're going to look at the race, too. We talked about the exactas, and I did this also a day before the race. Give ample time covering this to think about your wagering. Let's take a look. So now I addressed the playing the exactas. You had to narrow the race down to 3 contenders, maybe to box in an exacta. Get that done. And giving it out, I did the legwork, put this out there. And let's take a look at this. Here are the contenders I came up with. If you're going to box an exacta, you're going to play, you're going to, narrow this down. Now remember who the top four horses are, and Dornoch, the opening favorite. Let's take a look. What about exactas? Would you box an exacta? Do you think this is going to be a really cheap play or even worth it? If you're going to box 3, who do you box? Believe it or not, given the fillies' tenaciousness, I would Fierceness, Sierra Leone, and for Pidana. There you go, folks. That's the trifecta right there. You box those, the exacta for $1, for $6, you get back $28. Trifecta for $1, you get back $58 for $6. So gave it out in advance, gave the 3 horses, boom. Notice I didn't have Dornoch as one of those 3. So we got the exacta out of the way. I hope some of you played that. I've heard back from some of you thanking me for the selections. And I'm always glad when I can help out and help people win at the races. That's what I do. And I gave it out right there. But we go a step further. We're going to talk about the race. Then after giving out the exacta, I had to talk about the winner of the race. What about if you want to get more specific? Yeah, now we're past the exacta. We already got rid of Dornoch. I said I didn't like him. Now we talk about the winning horse. Let's see. Push comes to shove. Give out the winner on the show a couple days ago. And here we go. What did I have to say about that? Okay. Who is going to win the Travers Stakes? Let's take a look. You need push comes to shove. Rubber meets the road. I just got to pick one. Travers Stakes 2024. Let's take a look. If I had to pick just one horse to win this race, it would be Fierceness. He's too fast. He's faster than the others, undefeated on the track. I know we got the ones that don't like him. They say Fierceness can't get the 1.25 miles. He has a good race and bad race pattern. He's due for a bad race. What's going on in front of us here? We got a runner coming. So what do I say about that? Yeah, true. Good race, bad race. He's due for a bad race. Here's what I say about that. In all 3 races that Fierceness didn't win, he won the other 4. Now he's due for one of the bad ones on Saturday. So people are swearing by that pattern. Keep in mind that Fierceness had a bad start, bad trouble at the gate in all 3 of those races. Did not have a clean start in any of them. It's not a case of this one getting off to a good start and just not having it that day. Hopped at the gate, pinball, broke slow, stumbled, whatever. But look at it. Look at the trip notes. Watch those races. You'll see that he got out of the gate in trouble. So in this race, he has the luxury of breaking from the outside, post number 8. So there's a minimal chance of him getting in trouble, and he could take dead aim at the other entries in this race. There you go, folks. Fierceness. What did he do? He wins. Now, what about some of these narratives that are going on? Well, you discuss those. A lot of people, I saw people, experts, people in the business, all knocking Fierceness all along. He doesn't have it. He's weak. He can't get the 1.25 miles. He has a pattern: good race, bad race, good race, bad race. Just watch the replays. Take it for what it is. He's the fastest horse. If you watch the replays, or even if you read the trip notes and don't watch the replays, you could see that he encountered trouble in his 3 of them. And I addressed that in advance, days in advance, right here on the show for everybody to see. And sure enough, it comes in. The other didn't want to hear it. I saw one guy, he was talking about a very, respected guy in the business saying, more than one, a couple, 2 of them, at least 2. I wouldn't bet Fierceness with your money. No, not with that pattern. Come on, think about it. You got the fastest horse here in the race. Anyway, called it there. Now, what about this stuff about, that's one narrative, most of it regarding Fierceness. And of course, you got a lot of people that were in love with Dornoch all of a sudden. I blew that myth out of the water right there. His numbers just were not stacked up. He had been taking on some weak fields in some of the ones that he won. And he just wasn't fast enough. And the filly, I thought she was good. Her numbers weren't stacked up. Everyone was building her up. Somebody was saying, "Oh yeah, she's a bargain." At anything over 3 to 5 is an overlay. Get the hell out of here. You're talking about a horse that wasn't by the speed figures, even the buyer figures, not as fast. There were three entries in there, possibly even 4 that were just as fast as her or faster. So it was unlikely she was going to win. But I liked her kind of for the exacta, just she might hang around, and the others did fall off. But here's the other narrative that is 100% false, and this regards the filly. Nothing against the filly, Torpedo Anna, finishing second. Now we're hearing this, that she proved how great she is, that she belongs, that she is, she would have caught Fierceness if she lost by a nose. This shows how great she is. And okay, she lost by a nose, and she made up a little bit of ground on Fierceness. But here's where people are leaving things out. Maybe they don't want to look at it. Maybe they just don't know. Just like the buyer figures don't know, or the Brisnet figures don't know. They just look at finishing times and they give you a number, a flat number. And the flat number between Torpedo Anna and Fierceness in yesterday's race are going to be almost identical if they aren't identical. Here's something to keep in mind for those who are saying Fierceness was running out of gas, or Torpedo Anna is as fast as Fierceness. That's bullshit. Torpedo Anna had a dream trip. She broke from the rail, ran around the rail the whole race, saved every inch of ground until the end. And by the end, the other horses were falling off. So she had a clean shot just to slip outside a little bit and make a run at Fierceness. So she saved a ton of ground. How about Fierceness? Fierceness now, those said he couldn't make the 1.25 miles. I said that's not going to be a problem. When he was winning shorter, 1.1 miles, whatever the distance, he was pulling away, winning by open lengths, sometimes 12, sometimes big margins. The races that he didn't make a 1.25 miles, he had trouble at the gate. But the other ones, I said 1.25 miles, no problem. Proves it, 1.25 miles, no problem. But let's get back to Torpedo Anna versus Fierceness. Fierceness ran 3 wide around the entire track, breaking from post 8, 3 wide at some point 4 wide, towards the first turn. 3 wide around the whole track versus running on the inside around the whole track. Do you know how much more ground Fierceness covered in the same amount of time than Torpedo Anna? What did he cover? Maybe 8 lengths more, 6, whatever it is, running 3 wide around the turns. A lot more ground. He wins that race. If this was a straight line, and in this time covered, you draw 2 straight lines. How much, and the horse that covered the most ground, the horse that covers the most ground gets the longer line. Okay, that's how much ground he covered in how many minutes and seconds. Now you put Torpedo Anna and Fierceness together for yesterday's race. Fierceness would have a much longer line than Torpedo Anna because she was inside. To put things into perspective, think about these Olympic track meets where the runners are out there and they take the turns into consideration and they start the runners off in like a diagonal across, some starting way in front of the others and others starting towards the back. You take into account the turns. Well, the same thing accounts for horse racing. And Fierceness ran the wider race the whole way around the track, 3-4 wide. So he covered a lot more ground. He was going much faster. He ran longer than 1.25 miles, whereas whatever the length is around the whole track, he covered a lot more ground than Torpedo Anna did, which means if you break that down into miles per hour, he was running faster than Torpedo Anna was. It's simple mathematics. So anyone saying that 2 horses are equal, not even close. She ran a great race. I'll give it to her. And the same thing goes for Sierra Leone. Had the inside, broke from post 2 most of the way. A very similar track race, only running styles different. He's the closer. She's the one with more speed. Saved a lot of ground around the race, went outside. I wouldn't be surprised if Sierra Leone and let's go to the Thorograph numbers or the sheets numbers. Sierra Leone and Torpedo Anna have an almost similar speed figure. But watch what Fierceness's Thorograph number is going to be after this race. When that comes in, I'm going to let you know. It's going to be much lower than both Sierra Leone and Torpedo Anna. Ran the fastest race by far, when you take all into consideration. And it takes you to another thing. What direction are we going to go going forward? As now that the Travers Stakes is behind us regarding these 3-year-olds. One thing comes in, the Fierceness now wins the Travers. Let's see where he is in the standings for top 3-year-old. Remember, we all know he was the top 2-year-old of 2023. And now that has the Florida Derby, he has the Travers Stakes, and he has the Jim Dandy Stakes under his belt, a couple of G1s and a prestigious G2 under his belt. And now, is he the leading 3-year-old for the year? We'll have to wait and see when the standings come out. But what about going forward? What did the Travers prove? The Travers, considering the amount of ground that Fierceness covered and the magnitude of this race, the Midsummer Derby, and he still is the only entry of these that had a negative sheets number going into this. So he was out of the 2024 3-year-old crop. Fierceness, here's one thing that comes out of it. Fierceness is the lone 3-year-old that has posted legitimate fast speed figures numbers compared to other excellent horses of the past. When I say excellent horses of the past, I mean posting negative numbers, throwing up numbers that can translate into greatness as they mature. Remember, Fierceness is only 3 years old. None of the others, some of the others have nice numbers, but they don't have numbers that match Fierceness. So what's going to happen going forward in this 3-year-old division right now? Now, going back to the numbers again, the fastest ones out there are Sierra Leone and the Japanese entry that ran in the Kentucky Derby. Those are maybe the fastest couple out there, and they're nowhere near Fierceness. If you want to put it into perspective, the fastest they've run, if you talk sheet numbers, is a 1. And the same with Torpedo Anna. She did run a 1 a couple of times. So she's kind of there too, but she's not running -1s, -3s like Fierceness, who is lengths faster than the others. He's the one that stands out. So now you can throw that good race, bad race pattern out the freaking window. That myth has been shattered. The myth that he can't get the 1.25 miles, whatever, that has been shattered. So he gets a clean start. What do we got going forward? Are any of these entries going to come back and run in the next big race for 3-year-olds? Biggest one left, the Pennsylvania Derby in September. Are any going to come back? Do they push Dornoch back and try and give him a little bit of a leg up, sneak another G1 in there without the threat of Fierceness? You know Fierceness is not going to go there. Fierceness is not going to go there. They're going to give him the couple of months off, and they're going to point him to the Breeders' Cup. And so we're talking about what do we got going forward. Let's talk about Mike Rapoli. He already weighed in on this as far as fierceness goes, and he tipped his hand as far as the plans for fierceness. And here's a little bit of a statement from Mike Rapoli yesterday. Uh, they talk about Mike Rapoli holding fierceness out of the Belmont Stakes at the advice of Pletcher, instead aiming fierceness for the Jim Dandy and then the Travers. The decision paid off in spades. And here's what Mike Rapoli, the owner, the aggressive owner, New York guy, had to say about that. Mike Rapoli, in quotes, "I always say in business, patiently aggressive. If Todd Pletcher says give it time, we give it time. If it wasn't for Todd's patience, look at a lot of the horses that ran the Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont. Where are they right now? That patience is paying off. This is the best 3-year-old in the country right now. I don't think anybody can deny it. He's pretty special, and he's going to be pretty tough in the Classic, meaning the Breeders' Cup Classic." So people thought that fierceness needed a little bit more rest for this one. They brought him back anyway, and now he's going to get his rest. A couple months off, and then lay it all on the table in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Maybe he has enough. If none of the other top 3-year-olds, wins the Breeders' Cup Classic, maybe he has enough right now to already cement a 3-year-old of the year, top 3-year-old male of the year, fierceness. But we'll see what happens. We still got to see what comes out of the Pennsylvania Derby, and then the Breeders' Cup. Who else might be pointing towards the Breeders' Cup? Who would have a chance? Fierceness of Sierra Leone. Absolutely. I expect Sierra Leone to run in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And Sierra Leone finishing third yesterday, again, keeps his record intact of never missing the board. Never missing the board. Another admirable performance by Sierra Leone. Remember, saved a lot of ground inside, nowhere near the speed of ground covered of fierceness, but a very nice one. And maybe his closing kick will be enough to give him a puncher's chance in the Breeders' Cup. Fierceness, he's going to be up against it. He's going to be facing a lot of speed, but 2 months of maturity for a 3-year-old is huge. They grow a lot from, we're talking months at this maturity development stage. So keep an eye on that. The workout record. Fierceness has time to relax and recharge and work out, and we'll see what happens. But we saw it right here from Mike. We heard it from Mike Rapoli. No secrets. He's going to be shooting for the Breeders' Cup. The others in the Breeders' Cup, we know Seize the Gray is going to be running in the Pennsylvania Derby. Tall order. That one has never been fast enough. Mystic Dan, the Kentucky Derby winner. We'll see what's up with him. Any of these other 3-year-olds have a shot in the Breeders' Cup. I don't expect Torpedo Anna. Well, one more thing about Torpedo Anna. I don't expect her, at least according to her trainer, McPeak, says this is going to be her running against the boys. He said this before the Travers. So I don't expect him. He'll probably go after the championship, Breeders' Cup for the fillies, or a Breeders' Cup Classic, whatever it is. It's called for the fillies. And when they run that. What do I think about Torpedo Anna running in the Travers, McPeak's decision? Was it a good move? I guess he kind of proved something and gained a little leverage. She was so close to making history. No filly had won the 2015 since 1915 has won the Travers Stakes. So she made it real close. She made it interesting, even though she covered less ground than fierceness, and ran quite a bit slower, all considered. The finish makes it exciting for her, and that's what's going to stick out more so in her fans' eyes, or the racing circle eyes. It makes for a better storyline. They don't want to look at the mathematics. They don't want to hear about speed figures. They don't want to hear about ground covered, ground loss. But we do. I do. As a player, I want to know all about that stuff. As a fan, hey, it makes for a great sour grapes argument. But what about her? Was it a good move for her to go in the Travers? What about if she would have just went in the Alabama and nailed down that top prize money and won another G1? Would that have made her look more impressive than running second in the Travers? I don't know. What do you think? Leave your comments down below as far as Torpedo Anna goes. And was it a mistake to run in the Travers? Should she have run in the Alabama? So that's what we see going forward. We covered it. It was a tremendous race. So what do you think? Fierceness? Top 3-year-old? Yeah, I believe he's the top 3-year-old. He's the fastest, has the best numbers, has run the fastest races to date. He's run 3-4 races that none of the other horses can touch in this field as far as pure speed goes. And I'm talking 4. Let's see, he won 4. Now he was won 5. So 4 of those 5 are faster than any race that any of the others have run here out of this field today, or any of the horses as well. So that's something to think about as far as top 3-year-old. Fierceness is the one that has a chance to be great. The others, no. Torpedo Anna, chance to be considered one of the top fillies. We'll see where her career brings us. So if you like this video, feedback appreciated. Hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, our live shows, I give out selections every single day. Hit the subscribe button, and this way you get notifications of all upcoming videos. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned. A lot of racing left here in 2024. If you're playing today, best of luck and bring it home. All the best, and talk with you soon.